I'll be the first one to admit that I'm something of a Guillermo del Toro stan. I consider Pacific Rim to be one of the greatest sci-fi action flicks of all time, and Pan's Labyrinth is one of my top 10 movies of all time, full stop. The man can do no wrong, in my opinion, with the possible exception of Crimson Peak, and while it looks like I'll never get my At the Mountains of Madness adaptation, at least I got his version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. First thing I'd like to point out, which is something that I didn't know going into this movie, is that it's based on the book, which is Hollywood for we've got the broad strokes in here, but we kind of wanted to do our own thing. It's a bit of a cop-out insofar as it means we can't hold the movie to the same standard as we could a direct adaptation, but at least it explains why the film deviates from the book in a few key areas. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing overtly egregious, but some of the decisions had me scratching my head in places. The first of these decisions comes in the form of Oscar Isaac's Victor Frankenstein. Now, after having successfully pulled out of the tailspin that Disney's Star Wars was leading him down, Oscar Isaac has rapidly become one of my favorite actors to watch. I loved him in Dune Part 1, I thought he was the best part of Moon Knight, and his turns in Ex Machina and even Sucker Punch were phenomenal. If I see his name attached to a project, I'm willing to give it a shot based on his cachet alone, which is why I was a little miffed at his portrayal of the Good Doctor. See, in the book, Victor is a spoiled brat. He's given everything he could ever want by his father, and it's this relationship that is the driving force behind who he becomes later in life, i.e. always reaching for the next thing and damn the consequences. The movie changes this relationship by making his father a domineering figure in his life, impeccably played, as always, by Charles Dance. Though I do worry he's just now been typecast for the rest of his career. Anyway, this relationship, as it's presented to us in the film, forms the bedrock of a Victor that should have been almost sullen, passionless, focused only on his work and pushing the boundaries of medicine and science. What we're given, on the other hand, is an almost Playboy-esque character, a bad boy that is perfectly comfortable disguising himself as a priest in a confessional so he can learn about his brother's fiancée in order to hit on her. He's a showman, more P.T. Barnum than Nikola Tesla, more concerned with making a splash than doing the science. Don't get me wrong, Oscar Isaac, muddled accent aside, carries this character very well, and very believably. But it's not who he was set up to be at the beginning of the film. In the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal. I just couldn't help but wonder why that aspect of his background was changed when they didn't follow through on the narrative thread they'd created. To be honest, his portrayal as an adult is actually not terribly far off from the book. While we're on the subject of accents real quick, I will say that there were more than a few times in this movie where I was struggling to understand what was being said. Maybe I'm just going deaf, but on more than one occasion I had to turn to my wife and ask what the hell someone was saying. Anyway, back to Victor. One of the things I love about the way they handled him was how blasé he was about the work he was doing. They showed him almost matter-of-fact as he parts out condemned men like a customer at a butcher's shop, and picks over corpses on a battlefield like he's looking for the choicest cuts. When people talk about the banality of evil, this is what they're talking about. Watching him discard body parts like he's slopping hogs while happy, almost joyful music plays in the background.
It is finished.
Does a fantastic job of reinforcing the horror of the situation. Horror that he seems to be incapable of recognizing. If I had to pick a primary complaint, however, it would be the vague love triangle between Victor, the creature, and Mia Goth's Elizabeth. I honestly don't know why it's there, aside from giving Mia Goth more screen time. I'm not saying that their chemistry was bad or they didn't do well with what they were given, but that entire plot thread just chews up screen time that I would have rather seen devoted to more of Victor, the creature, and their interactions with one another. Hell, if you're dead set on keeping her in the movie more, you could have made the relationship more maternal rather than romantic. You've got Victor reaching out to a kind figure as a way to replace the mother he lost, and you've got the creature doing the same for a mother he never had. It just flows better than Elizabeth falling in love with the creature whom she's met for all of 30 seconds. Look, I'm just going to say this right now. If Jacob Elordi doesn't at least get nominated for an Academy Award for his performance as the creature, then we'll know the whole damn system is rigged. He is phenomenal. I knew he was a good actor after having seen him in Euphoria, but he takes it to a whole other level in this film. His physicality, his presence, his voice, his expressions, all of it is absolute perfection. He's able to shift from childlike innocence to animal rage in the blink of an eye, and keep the audience sympathetic to him. With one word, Victor. He's able to portray a range of emotions that many actors these days can't do with a full-on monologue. And what's more is that he looks book accurate. No bolts in the neck, no flat top haircut, no green skin or sleepy eyes. They managed to use Elordi's natural features as a good-looking guy and layer prosthetics over him in such a way that he was both handsome and off-putting, exactly as Mary Shelley described the creature, right down to the oversized teeth, long hair, and black lips. I'm serious, this makeup is so good that they altered his skin tone from scene to scene depending on the ambient temperature of the location and what the creature was wearing at the time. As a matter of fact, I cannot overstate just how good all of the effects work was in this film. The quivering flesh, the decomposing bodies, the galvanism equipment, the prosthetics, and makeup. If all of that doesn't get an Academy Award, I will be utterly shocked. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, then you've probably realized by now that I'm a sucker for world building and vibes. All the little things that help pull you into a scene, the costuming and props, the set dressing, even the makeup, I love it all. In a lot of cases, those things do more to tell the story than any actor could ever hope to do. With Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro has completely tapped into these vibes, and, as is typical of him, used them to great effect. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. You can tell some of the exterior sets were sound stages, and I still don't understand why they designed Victor's lab the way they did. But on the whole, it's all so cohesive that you're willing to forgive it. There's a sumptuousness to the world that reminds me of Amadeus, with the rich fabric of its costumes and the huge rooms of the manors they shot in. Tying into that feeling is the powerful way that the scenes were shot. The imagery they conjure, especially with the angel statue that Victor continually sees, and the way that the creature is raised into the air before being brought to life. True, the overtones are very religious, but they're evocative in a way that almost makes you forget that it looks like the creature is being crucified. It's an interesting tightrope to walk, and Del Toro does it masterfully. Aside from that, I've got a minor niggle with Victor's costuming, in that it wears his hat like he's Indiana Jones, and his shirt is consistently open like he's Fabio riding a horse down the beach. But other than that, it's all pretty flawless. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm a Del Toro stan. He's one of the greatest directors of all time, and I cannot tell you how glad I am that Frankenstein proves he's still got it. It's not without its cracks, as all movies have, but I can heartily recommend that if you've got the opportunity to see it in theaters, it is definitely worth your time and money. If you have to wait to stream it, then definitely do that too. Every minute this movie is watched is more reinforcement to the Netflix C-suite that they should let Del Toro continue to make films. In the meantime, I'll just sit here and keep hoping that maybe, one day, we'll get that Out the Mountains of Madness adaptation. Anyway, that's all I've got for you this time, so if you could do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons, I'd really appreciate it. Every little bit really helps me out. Also, go ahead and take a look at the other videos on my channel, or hit up my website to see my blog and maybe check out my books on Amazon. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.